That's why these Native Americans, these racist bastards, these other Asian ones hate the Buffalo Soldiers. The Buffalo Soldiers were black American soldiers. You know, if you're black American, you know what the Buffalo Soldiers were. They went in and started busting heads open of these Native Americans to free black Americans doing slavery. Because your good Native Americans didn't want to let black people go. They were just as vicious and vile as white tea Americans. There was no difference. They didn't want to let black people go because they had got rich off my people's backs from exploitation and grape. Yeah, you know what I mean when I say grape. You know what that is. But that's what I'm trying to explain to you. That's what I'm trying to explain to you, Rick, when they're talking about culture. They're talking about tribalism. They're talking about tribe culture. We're not tribes. So that's what they're talking about, Rick. That's what they're talking about. Do me a favor, Rick. You go get a DNA test. Tell me what it says. I'll pay for it. Let's go get your DNA. Let's see what yours says. Because all you indigenous people never want to go get a DNA. Let's go get a DNA test and let's see what it says. Okay? Let's go see. All you indigenous and FBA Negroes never want to go get a test. Let's go get a DNA test and prove me wrong. Let's go see. I'm curious. Because if that's the case, tell me about your continuing culture, your continuity of culture. What are the languages that you guys speak, Rich? What were the foods that you guys eat? Because none of your foods and none of your languages are in Black American culture today. We know we have a culture. We're the culture of the planet, Rick. Don't get upset when ignorant people come and tell you don't have a culture. They're talking about their tribal culture, their language. That's their groupie tribe, which only goes to their tribe, which who cares? The tribe has no power, means nothing to nobody but them. Because their culture is small. Our culture is big. It's the world culture. So understand, they're talking about their tribe, Rick. That's what they're talking about. Exactly right there. I want some in the casino money. So that's what you got to understand, Rick. You got to understand they're talking about their tribe. They consider their tribe their culture, which doesn't mean any damn thing because their tribes are small in the grand scheme of things. So when they come with us, we don't have tribal culture. Okay? Understand that, Rick. We don't have tribes. That's what I'm trying to explain. Collectivism and tribalism. As Black Americans, we're collective. We believe, if I see you in Pittsburgh or see you in Minnesota, I still call you me, Rick. Me growing up in LA. I don't see you as a different African as me or a different person. We practice collectivism. They'll see us and anybody else and say we're not part of their tribe. And then they'll act accordingly and start to undermine us because we're not part of their groupie tribal culture. And haven't been able to come out. That's why they've already been conquered in Africa over and over again because they have not been able to get rid of that groupie culture they talk about. That tribal culture is garbage. It's garbage. It does nothing but hurt them. That's why they can't have, that's why all the countries over there are easily dominated by people with stronger cultures, which is collective. The Chinese are collective culture. They're not tribal. That's why they go over and take over them. Europeans are collective culture. That's why they go over and take over them. The Indians are collectives. They're not tribal. So every time they come against a collective culture, they lose. Because they practice tribalism. Tribalism doesn't work in today's society. Maybe 100, 200, 300 years ago when it was all right to be that way, it was good. But no more. It doesn't. There's no benefit to being in some goopy tribe. The only benefit they have is if their tribe gets in power and then they practice nepotism, but letting their tribe have everything, but all the other tribes suffer. So that's why shit don't work. Tribalism doesn't work. That's the culture they talk. Those are failed cultures, Rick. And saying, like I said, I don't want to hurt them. Those are failed cultures. You got tribal culture and collective culture. Black Americans' culture is collective, not tribal. The tribal shit doesn't work. So when they scream, tribal is my tribe, you listen, who cares? You don't got any culture. You listen to that and say, okay, who cares? Because their tribal culture has given them no benefits. There's no benefits in that whatsoever. So that's what they mean when they talk about we have no culture. They're talking about the tribe that they're from, their own goofy languages, which is small. See, all these tribes are small, Rick. They're not big. They don't have enough numbers to gain any power on the planet. So they're worthless. Unless your numbers are big enough to gain power. That's why no one practices the tribal shit but the Africans still. No one, because there's no power in it. Everybody learned to get rid of tribes. Europeans had tribes. Chinese had tribes, and it doesn't work no more. You better walk moving as a collective, not as a tribe. So that's what you got to understand, Rick, when they said that. Okay? That's what you got to understand what they were talking about. They didn't understand collectivism because they grew up in tribalism. They didn't understand collective culture and not tribal culture. So I want to make that clear. Okay? That's what so when they come, they're talking about people don't have tribes like them. But they should have already realized that that shit doesn't work. It's kept them dominated, kept them impoverished, kept their countries not progressing. But they haven't put it down today. So you laugh at that and leave that alone.